What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I wanted to showcase some Bewear in the Love Cup. This Pokemon has that Ghost and Fighting type offensive pressure that we know so well from Annihilate, so it means that this is one of the best Pokemon coverage-wise in the meta. It is a little bit squishy, but its defensive typing and very interesting coverage makes it one of the best Pokemon that I've used so far in the Love Cup. If you've been enjoying these videos, I just want to say before we get into the battles, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. But without further ado, let's get into the gameplay and see what Bewear can do. Alright, game number one. Bewear in the lead up against the opposing Bewear, another trainer here believing in the bear. This is a very awkward mirror matchup, though, where Superpower basically one-shots each other, and Shadow Claw does almost nothing as the fast move, so it's a winner-take-all kind of matchup. You can also go for Stomp Baits if you want to try to draw a shield without debuffing your attack and defense stat, which it looks like your opponent is going to be going for here, but now Superpower is going to be thrown out back-to-back. I'm going to hope that I win CMP, because CMP also is very impactful in this matchup. We throw that first Superpower, our opponent overfarming here, and we get to throw a second one, likely drawing the shield or doing massive damage to this Bewear. The second shield does come through. I'm going to safe swap here with our Slowbro. Our opponent's staying in for just a second. They've already shown Stomp. I'd be surprised if it was Stomp and Payback, so I'm going to no shield, hope for another Stomp, and see if our Slowbro can take it. It is just going to be a Stomp, and in comes a Milotic. This Pokemon is pretty bulky, but I know that the Sludge Bomb, which is a much more damaging charge move than if I were running Surf or Scald, is going to chunk them down quite a bit, but with them into a range where if I can reach a Brutal Swing, we might be able to knock them out before they can even knock us out with fast moves. They got a little bit greedy. They did have a Surf loaded, but we are able to throw this Brutal Swing, knock out Milotic, and be able to win switch advantage here. Now we can absorb all of the energy on our own Milotic if we need to, or our Mola, that is, a different water type Pokemon, but another very bulky one, which we can bring in the backline. This Bewear might get to a couple charge moves though, because it's kind of squishy, but it's not squishy enough to get waterfalled all the way down. We're going to no shield the first move. It might be a Superpower, it might be a Stomp. It is going to be a Stomp. I'm going to try to farm them all the way down here with waterfalls, but I don't know if our opponent is going to get a third charge move. I'm going to hope that after the Superpower I can farm them down. Our opponent though is a little bit more healthy than I like them to be. They survive on 1 HP and they reach a third charge move. I'm going to shield just in case though. I have a lot of energy on Mola. If I need a Hydro Pump in the backline, I'd rather shield it up there, and it looks like that Hydro Pump is going to be fantastic for us. This is going to one-shot the Skeletal, and Mola can be able to close out the endgame here, taking us the win in game number one. GG's to our opponent, fellow Bewear abuser. Love to see it. Alright, next game, what are we going to see? Bewear up against a Skeletal. Alright, this is a very neutral matchup, right? We have Shadow Claw that's super effective, but because we don't have any charge room pressure, this matchup's actually a little bit awkward. I'm going to try to make a catch on our Slowbro, but our opponent very patient. They overfarm, and they're going to go for likely a Shadow Ball, or maybe they're going to bait a Disarming Voice. Here comes a charge move here, our opponent throwing the Shadow Ball, so luckily no bait here. And since they're staying in, and because I also got all of that chip damage with Shadow Claw, I think a Brutal Swing should draw a shield or get a KO against this Pokemon. Our opponent is going to opt to shield that up. I'm going to try to reach another charge move, but our opponent is going to outpace us here. I'm going to shield up once again, hoping for no bait. If it is a bait, they can win the 2-shield matchup, but if it's not, I think our own Slowbro should be able to win this matchup the longer it goes on. I'm going to overfarm as much as I can here before the next Incinerate is going to register. This Brutal Swing should knock them out if they end up letting it go, which they are going to. Now we have switch advantage. We have a lot of energy on our Bewear, and in comes a licky here, rather. This Pokemon is going to try its best to knock out our Slowbro. We have a Sludge Bomb, though, which is going to do a decent amount of damage, and now I can try to combo play them here with our Bewear. Rollout is resisted damage. It's not going to do too much fast pressure against us, but if they have Earthquake, it could knock us out from this range, or maybe 2 Body Slams could KO us as well, and in the backline going to be a Medicham with Counter, it looks like. This is a little bit awkward. I know that Counter is going to add up. It's going to probably farm us all the way down, and with a huge energy lead, this could be a little bit awkward for us in the endgame, especially because we did not get off another Stomp. This Medicham has a ton of energy. I have my Slowbro, which is a decent answer to it, but a Psychic or Ice Punch could potentially knock us out there, and I don't really know how I want to finish off this game. I'm going to drain energy on Mola. If I can, I want to swap out to Slowbro, try to drain energy once again. Psychic is going to be thrown, so we know that they have Psychic likely Ice Punch as their second charge move. Brutal Swing is going to win CMP and knock out this Medicham. At this point, they still have that licky in the backline, but I think we should be in a good spot here. They can't farm us down, and our Mola has a lot of HP on it as well. In comes a charge move likely a Body Slam, but because they have to throw energy here, they're not going to have enough to take out my Mola before I can farm them down. Body Slam does take us out there, but we can come in once again here, try to throw a Psychic if we need to. Even if they have, honestly, I guess a Solar Beam could knock us out here, but if they don't have that, we should be able to win this game. The Shadow Ball, definitely not enough. Body Slam, even from this range, not enough. They needed a second Shadow Ball, but they did not quite have the energy. Psychic is going to come through, get the KO against Licky, and Mola once again closing out the backline. Alright, next game, what are we going to see our Bewear up against? It's going to be a Crocodile. Actually, a very awkward lead for our team. We don't want to see this with our Slowbro, but honestly, our resisted Shadow Claws are doing nothing here, and these Mud Saps over time are going to farm us all the way down. With that said, Stomp is going to be able to bait a shield potentially. If they no-shield this as well, it's going to do a lot of damage anyway, because Crocodile is pretty squishy. You can see just how much damage our resisted Shadow Claws are already doing, but they are going to be able to start debuffing my defense stat with Brick Break. Because of the defense drop, I think they can 2-shield through us without me landing a charge move, which is super awkward, but if I can get rid of this Pokemon, maybe my Slowbro the backline could have a lot of play. In comes another stomp. Our opponent does opt to double shield, which makes sense. That's kind of what you do with a Mud Slapper, but they get a little bit scared. They end up throwing a charge move before they had to, which is fantastic for us. This is going to knock out a Bewear, but now their energy dry. And come in with our Alomomola, try to farm them down if possible, but they end up swapping out to a Medicham here. This is a Cycle Cut using Medicham, a Pokemon which obviously has a lot of charge move pressure, but Alomomola likely doesn't have a great matchup in the backline. At least that's kind of what I'm going to be expecting right now. So I'm going to no shield this Dynamic Punch, try to go for a Hydro Pump here, and see what we can do this game. In comes yet another charge move, likely another Dynamic Punch, but because there was that weakness to water in the lead, I'm going to just sack our Alomomola, know I can survive this move, go for a Hydro Pump, and either KO or come very close to knocking out this Medicham. Once this is out of the way, I know our Slowbro is going to have a little bit of a tricky time winning this game, but we might have a chance. Okay, in the backline, it's actually ABA weak to water. Are you kidding me? A Skeletal comes in. This is going to be so awkward. They have some energy left over on that Crocodile, which could be a little bit bad for us, but I have energy as well on my Slowbro. If I did have Surf, we could knock them out easily with the charge move, but because we don't, I'm going to go for the Brutal Swing, try to farm them down, and reach 2 more Brutal Swings against that Skeletal later on. They just barely don't reach the crunch, which means we can farm them down. In comes that Skeletal. We are 2 more Poison Jabs away from a second Brutal Swing. The first one's not going to knock out, but the second one's going to come very close. It definitely will knock out, actually, at this range, and I think Slowbro able to barely close out the backline against 2 Pokemon that you would generally consider to be very bad matchups for it. Brutal Swing knocks out the Skeletal, able to barely close out the backline against a very tricky lead. Alright, next matchup, Bewear up against a Licky. A very good matchup, but honestly, this isn't the most comfortable matchup because I do have to Superpower and my fast moves do nothing, but our opponent instantly swapping out to a Slowbro, a Pokemon that has a lot of fast move pressure, but almost no charge move pressure against us. We have super effective Shadow Claw against them, and Stomp as well does a decent chunk of damage despite not being the best move in the game. It's able to chunk down the Slowbro into a range where this is an easy Shadow Claw down. With that said, I will have to throw another charge move if I want to knock them out before another Brutal Swing's reach, but I know I do resist Brutal Swing. There's no way they're going to reach a Surf here. I can no-shield this, get a full farm down, and come out of this with a ton of energy to throw against whatever is going to try to farm us down here. If it is going to be that Licky, I can throw a Superpower and swap out, clear our debuff. If it's going to be their third Pokemon, I guess we can do the same thing. Go for this Superpower, try to draw a shield or get as much damage against this as we can. Our opponent does opt to no shield, but Alomomola now is going to be incredibly safe against both this Licky and that Solrock. This is going to be a little tricky in the endgame depending on how they play this out, but I'm going to go straight for Psychic here. I know Psychic at this point will put them into farm down range, and I don't want to risk a Hydro Pump getting shielded. Honestly, I'd rather have them no shield with Psychic so I can farm them all the way down and win the game with fast move pressure. Psychic is going to end up being thrown. Our opponent opts to shield it up, and we get a defense drop, which is helpful here. I don't know how much that's going to help out though, because I know I can still survive a charge move from this Licky, maybe even get to another Psychic here and potentially win this game just with raw bulk on our Alomomola. We are able to reach this Psychic here and either draw a second shield from this Pokemon or potentially get the KO against Licky. Our opponent is going to opt to let it go. They are hoping that their Solrock in the backline is going to be enough here. It's going to be close. I don't know if we can farm them all the way down before they can knock out my Slowbro, but these Poison Jabs are adding up. I still have Shadow Claw damage against them with our Bewear. I still have a bit of Alomomola, but I don't think I'd survive the sideways to get a Waterfall through, but our Slowbro is all we need. We just Poison Jab him all the way down. GG's to them. All right, next game here, a Slowbro in the lead this time. We just saw in that last game, it was a very good matchup for a Shadow Claw user, doing super effective fast move pressure and being able to outpace or just out CMP this Slowbro means that, in general, this matchup is pretty good for our bear. They do shield that first stump, which is a good play. Our opponent here throwing likely a Brutal Swing, but I'm going to shield up potentially a Surf or maybe a Sludge Bomb, a Scald. It could have a lot of different charge moves. Brutal Swing, though, does end up getting our shield. Our opponent, I think they just made a catch on arbitrary timing. Fantastic play by them. They ended up catching a Stomp on a Licky. This is a little bit awkward for us, but I think that does put them into range where Superpower will knock them out. It does about 70% of a Licky's HP, so they will have to shield this up if they don't want to get one shot here. In comes the Superpower. Opponent is going to shield it up. I'm going to try to catch a move on our Alomomola, but we don't quite get it. Our opponent, though, is overfarming so much energy with Licky. They're going to have to throw a charge move against us. I know that this could be a Solar Beam or a Hyper Beam. I'm still going to no shield. It's just a Body Slam, so not anywhere near as much damage as they could have done against us. Could be another maybe Earthquake or Shadow Ball coming through here, or maybe just another Body Slam. Our opponent throwing a Body Slam, it looks like, doing almost no damage, but stalling out the switch clock long enough here to come in with their final Pokemon in Miltank. So they're running double normal in the backline, double rollout users that is, and a Hydro Pump is going to chip down this Miltank, but this could be a little bit tricky. They still have a lot of energy left over across the board, right? I think they have 7 Poison Jabs on their Slowbro. They have a lot of energy on that Licky as well, and this Miltank is going to knock out our Alomomola with a Thunderbolt. With that said, I know we can survive all these charge moves here against this Miltank. All I have to do is go for a farm down, have energy against both of their backline Pokemon, and as long as they save a shield for that Brutal Swing that they have in the back, we should be able to win this game. In comes yet another charge move. Our opponent is trying to trip us down as much as they can, but Body Slam's not adding up as quickly as they'd like. They do reach another Body Slam as their Licky here, but I'm 2 or 3 Poison Jabs, I think maybe 3 Poison Jabs away from back-to-back charge moves. All I have to do here is go for the back-to-back, knock out this Licky. If Miltank comes in, I can farm them down. If I see that Slowbro come in, instantly throw the Brutal Swing and try to get the KO against them. Just watch that top right corner, see what typing comes in. If it stays normal, then I keep tapping. If it's the poison and psychic type, throw instantly with the brutal swing. It looks like they did come in with that slow bro, so sniping them down before they can knock us out with their own brutal swing is going to be able to win us this game. Now we can jab down, slow bro getting a complete backline sweep. GG's to them. Next matchup, Bewear up against another Galarian slow bro. It looks like fantastic lead as we have seen in this video so far. All I have to do is watch out for a catch like that last game. They did end up catching a stomp last time, which was a little bit embarrassing. This time I am going to bait a payback, actually. They might shield this up. They might let it go. Either way, our Bewear is putting in a lot of damage against this Pokemon. They do opt to throw a Charge Move and no shield or stomp, which is a good play by them, but I can still shield this up. They actually go for a Scald this time, so a good shield by me, but they end up getting a Scald debuff as well, which is a little bit uncomfortable. With that said, their own Alomomola on the safe spot, we don't have a great answer to it, but our own Alomomola should be able to neutralize this energy and fast move damage just about as good as anything could in this meta. Psychic does come through. Luckily, no defense drop is going to happen here. I'm going to throw my own Psychic. I would love a defense drop against them, but I don't really need it at this point. We're just going to neutralize this as much as we can, and then use our energy on Bewear and potentially our Slowbro to win this game. Another Charge Move is going to come through very soon with their Alomomola, and we're going to just take it once again. Psychic, not the strongest attack in the game. Psychic does do a decent chunk of our health, but another one is going to be required if they want to knock us out here. I'm going to go for a Psychic against them. This matchup is very boring. There's not much that you can really do here other than just tap your cheapest energy move and try to farm them all the way down. Our opponent has, oh no, that's a bit of a core breaker. It's a Psychic, or a Confusion using Wormadam, which is not what you want to see. Superpower is going to come through. Our opponent shields it up. We kind of needed that to land, unfortunately. We do have a second one, but now it's debuffed. Even if it does land, I don't think it puts them into range where a Brutal Swing could knock them out here with our Slowbro, right? If I did have access to Surf or Scald, there's a chance we could knock them out, but since I'm running Brutal Swing instead, our Poison Jabs do nothing. I probably need 3 Charge Moves to take the shield and knock this Pokemon out. And comes an Iron Head. We were able to shield it up, but because they have another Charge Move in just a second, I think I have to make a catch if I want any chance of winning this game. And comes our first Brutal Swing. Our opponent might shield this up, thinking a Scald or a Surf would knock them out, but they end up no-shielding that attack. Very bold call by them. Another Brutal Swing coming through back-to-back. Our opponent is going to have to shield this up if they want to keep all their energy, which they are. Our opponent ends up throwing instantly. We don't get the catch off. Unfortunately, this will knock out our Slowbro, but because our Alomomola is so low, I think at this point, we're not going to be able to win this game. Actually, we survived that Iron Head, which is a little bit surprising to me, but now they reach another Charge Move. This game is more than over. We're going to lose this one. We get knocked out with their Alomomola. The Psychic is going to knock us out, and then they can farm down the rest of our Slowbro. GG's to them. All right, next matchup, you're going to see our Bewear up against an Ariados in the lead. A very neutral matchup here. Normally, fighting types into Ariados is a very awkward matchup, but because we were using Shadow Claw and Stomp, and we win CMP against this Spider, it's actually not quite as difficult of a matchup here as you might expect. You're able to land that first Stomp, and if they don't shield it, and if they don't end up debuffing you with a Lunge, you're in a really good spot here. Even Trailblaze doesn't do too much damage to us. As you can see, Trailblaze, it does add up over time, especially now that their Poison Stings are going to be boosted, but this next Stomp likely going to draw a shield or get a KO against this Spider. In comes the Stomp. Our opponent does shield it up, but they CMP'd us with this next attack, likely not realizing that Bewear has such a high attack stat that the Spider is not going to win that CMP. Lunge does knock us out here, but this is a prime Poison Jab downrange here for our Slowbro. Because we have so much energy across the board with our Slowbro and a shield advantage, we should be in a pretty good spot. Just shield up this attack, go for a complete farm down, and use this energy potentially against whatever comes in. I would expect maybe like a Skeletal to be paired with this Pokemon. If that's the case, then being debuffed means we should probably clear our debuff if we possibly can. Use that energy later on this game, and because Miltank in the back line is a very neutral matchup. All we need to do is land this Hydro Pump or potentially draw that final shield, and then our Slowbro should be able to close out this game. In comes that Thunderbolt. As I was saying, it's going to do a ton of damage to us, but we are able to survive just enough to get to this Hydro Pump right before their next Thunderbolt is going to be reached. Hydro Pump should draw a shield or come very close to knocking out this Miltank. Our opponent ends up surviving, and they throw a Charge Move here at the last second. I'm very happy to get knocked out. I don't want to give them any extra farm on their Skeleturge, but they make a fantastic undercharge actually. This could make the game very awkward, but we get 3 extra waterfalls, which might put them to a range now where 1 Brutal Swing is enough to knock them out. They're not quite yet at back-to-back Charge Moves. I can do 2 Poison Jabs, go for a Brutal Swing, and then 2 more Poison Jabs, and then another Brutal Swing. And as long as it's enough to knock them out with 1 Charge Move, we should be able to win this game. Brutal Swing is going to be thrown. Our opponent is going to shield it up, and another Brutal Swing in just a second here. Going to be able to knock out the Skeleturge most likely. Slowbro should be able to close out this backline and win us this match. GG's to them. That was a very interesting team. Ariados is a fun Pokemon in this meta, but it is not an answer to Bewear. All right, next game, another Crocodile lead, another very awkward matchup here. We're a little bit ABA weak to this because our Shadow Claws, once again, are resisted by this Dark typing, and we don't really have an answer to this aside from our Alola, so we're going to try our best to go for a Stomp Bait, try to draw a Shield here, maybe even if we landed that move, at least we get some decent damage against them, but they do opt to shield it up and throw likely a Brick Break against our Bewear. This is annoying because they will start debuffing my defense stat, but because I can reach another Superpower, at least we can get both shields down. Maybe there's a chance our Lobomola once again can put in some work in the backline. Superpower is likely going to get shielded, yeah, who wouldn't just 2-shield their Mud Sapper? Crocodile is so squishy, but it does so much damage as well. With all of this energy, it is a very scary Pokemon to see. They stored a Crunch, which is probably the worst case scenario right now, and they bring in a Licky, a Pokemon that I don't have a hard answer to now that my Bewear is gone, so I'm just going to have to tank this energy and hope that right now our Lomola in the backline could potentially win this game. We're going to see our Slowbro come in. Unfortunately, they will reach an Earthquake before my Sludge Bomb, but I am going to be able to shield this up, go for a Brutal Swing, and farm them all the way down if they do go for the larger charge move here. Earthquake does end up coming through. Our opponent is going to be in range, where Brutal Swing plus Poison Jab should be able to knock them out before that Earthquake is going to be reached. Brutal Swing coming through. Our opponent has almost no HP left over on this Licky, but they do survive, but we are able to get that jab down. With that said, they stored that Crunch. I can't swap out. If I could, and I could store this energy, I might be in a good spot here, but because they are going to get the knockout against us, it's going to be down to a Lolamola. Dude, I hate saying that Pokemon's name so much. Alola is going to try to win this endgame, but because Slowbro comes in here, it's going to be able to neutralize all of our energy, survive a Hydro Pump, reach a Brutal Swing, and we have nowhere to hide. At this point, they have enough health also on their Crocodile that we had no HP remaining. All right, we're going to see in this next game, it's going to be Alola in the lead up against our Bewear. A very awkward matchup. We don't really have a hard answer to this Pokemon, but what I can do is go for a Superpower after 7 Shadow Claws and chip and dip this Pokemon. I know that Superpower is going to do about half of their remaining HP, which should make it so it's much more manageable for our Slowbro or potentially our own Alola to take out later on. They are going to swap out instantly into their own Licky, but this is where having Sludge Bomb is so useful. It's able to land a very hard-hitting charge move and likely put them into a range where I can Poison Jab them down as long as I shield moves properly against this Pokemon. Sludge Bomb does end up landing. Now they're in range where Brutal Swing is going to draw shields if they want to keep their Licky alive. In comes a charge move, likely going to be a Shadow Ball bait, or not bait, I guess. That's just going to try to knock us out. Luckily, no Body Slam bait, at least. In comes a Brutal Swing. This move should draw a shield or get a KO against this Licky. And because we have properly shielded up these charge moves so far, we should get that full farm down against this Pokemon before they're able to knock us out. In comes another charge move, hopefully not a Body Slam bait. They do full send yet another Shadow Ball, and now we're going to try to get a farm down, but because they swap into a Alola here, I'm going to bring in my own, try to absorb all the energy I can, and keep our energy on our Bewear and on our Slowbro for the backline. Psychic does a lot of damage to us, but not enough to really start threatening our HP. Even the next one's not going to knock us out. There's a chance I might be able to go for a full Waterfall down against us before they can reach a third Psychic. If I can, I'll have almost 100 energy on our Alola against their backline. This should be a very good spot to be in. If I can get this farm down, it's going to be good. If I can't, it's going to be bad, but just barely. That final Waterfall is able to take them out right when they get their Psychic. And what are they going to bring in? If it's their third Pokemon, I'm going to throw a Charge Move against them. If it's going to be their Licky, I need to make sure not to throw a Charge Move, but they make a fantastic Peekaboo play against us. It looks like they had a Medicham as their final Pokemon, which is actually a little bit awkward to see down shields. That said, we can reach another Psychic against this Pokemon. I do wish I didn't waste all my energy against that Licky, but because I can land that Psychic here, there's a chance that now I can land a Brutal Swing, draw the shield from this Pokemon, and then maybe my Bewear can land a Stomp against them and win this game. But they no-shield once again, calling that I was not at the Sludge Bomb. Very good counting by them. With that said, they're in range where maybe Fast Moves are going to be enough to win us this game. In comes the Psychic. It will knock us out, but that's a lot of energy down the drain for them. I have super effective Shadow Claw damage, and I have Waterfall damage in the backline. There's a good chance we still have a way to win this matchup. In comes Bewear. Our opponent is going to have to throw a charge move instantly. I go for the Stomp, get that one extra damage that I can against them. Every time you throw a charge move, even if it gets shielded, it does do 1 damage to this opposing Pokemon. So get as much as I can with our Bewear. In comes a charge move, likely going to be a Dynamic Punch. It does knock us out, but can I Waterfall down before another charge move is going to be reached? Lomola is going to try its best. They were on their 6th cycle with their Dynamic Punch, just barely able to Waterfall down, able to win that game. GG's to them. Next matchup, a Licky in the lead. Very good lead matchup here, but it can be a little bit awkward if they stay in and they have access to something in the backline that would much rather use our Bewear against. But it looks like our opponent's safe swapping a Skeletal, not exactly the safest swap in the game. We have 100 energy right now on our Bewear, or very close to it, and we are able to farm this all the way down, get a ton of energy coming out of this matchup. We should be in a very good spot as long as they don't get to another Shadow Ball. That was only a Disarming Voice. We can easily survive this, still get the Waterfall down, and Hydro Pump whatever is going to come in. Disarming Voice does do a decent chunk of damage, but because we almost have a Hydro Pump here, we're able to threaten to shield or nearly knock out anything that's going to come in. Our opponent taking their time. What do they have in the backline? It's going to be, I guess, a Licky that comes back in here. Hydro Pump, though, going to do a massive amount of damage. They have to shield this if they don't want to almost get one-shot. They do let that move go, but now I can knock them out potentially with Stomps and with this Waterfall damage, maybe even just with Fast Food Pressure with our Slowbro later on this game. I can bring in in our Bewear, go for an instant stomp, try to draw a shield from them, and as long as they don't have access to Solar Beam or Hyper Beam, there's no way they're going to one-shot us, so I can easily no-shield this attack and go for another stomp in just a second. I'm going to no-shield, see what our opponent throws. It's going to be a body slam, a move that does almost nothing to us. The next one not even going to knock us out here. This stomp is going to draw the second shield if they want to keep their energy. Our opponent is going to opt to no-shield their licky, and the final Pokemon is a Galarian Slowbro, a Pokemon that once again we're able to go for a stomp against and then bring in our own Slowbro and potentially win this matchup. If they no-shield this, that's probably their best play, but I can still go for a full Poison Jab down or maybe reach 2 Brutal Swings before they can knock us out. Our opponent realizing that ends up top lefting. GG's to them. Next matchup, Bewear up against a Scrafty, a very awkward lead matchup, but I do have 2 Pokemon in the backline that can deal with this. In comes our safe swap of our Slowbro. Poison Jab is going to do a lot of faster pressure to them, but these counters are going to be able to reach a foul play before we can reach a Sludge Bomb, which means the Scrafty is going to be able to draw a shield before we can do anything against them. In comes an Alomomola, but this is where having Sludge Bomb, once again, is going to come in so handy. Going to be able to do about half of their HP with a charge move. If we had that Surf or Scald, it would do almost nothing to them. Our opponent no-shielding confidently, but because I landed the big charge move there, we're able to either draw a shield with this next Sludge Bomb or potentially almost knock them out. Sludge Bomb gets thrown, our opponent opts to shield it up, and because I got their shield here, at this point, I can see a very interesting play where I could just no-shield this and get a huge farm down with Bewear. Bewear is going to be able to go for superpowers against that Scrafty, and since we already got a lot of Poison Jab damage against them, I think Bewear is setting itself up for an endgame sweep. We have basically 100 energy, I can shield up this Psychic, and if I ever see that Scrafty come in, instantly superpower, go for the charge move that will knock them out, and I will have back-to-back. If they do end up shielding, I think even a debuffed superpower from this range should be able to knock out this Pokemon. The first move coming through, our opponent is going to opt to let it go, actually, and in the backline, what was that, a Bruxish? A Water Gun Bruxish, I think. So we're able to get this this stomp off. We are at -1, but our opponent's still going to opt to shield that up, and comes another stomp. How much damage is this going to do? I am debuffed with my attack stat, but stomp is going to do quite a bit to a Bruxish still, I think. Yeah, almost half of their HP. We're able to now come in with our Lomola. Our opponent is going to top left. GG's to our opponent. That was a spicy team. Next matchup here, Licky up against our Bewear. Once again, I love this lead matchup. It's where I want to see it if we can keep it here, and our opponent is staying in for just a second. As we can see, Shadow Claw is doing almost no faster pressure, but Superpower is going to be very effective against them. We're going to throw it here, try our best to knock them out or come close to it. Maybe draw a shield from this Pokemon, depending on how they want to play this out. They do opt to shield, and we Sinal swap. I swap into my Alomomola. Our opponent swaps into their Slowbro, and because we are up a shield, we are not in the worst position possible. They do have a lot of energy, though, left over on that Licky, which could be a little bit awkward here. With that said, I am going to be able to reach a potential Hydro Pump against this Pokemon. They have Focus Blast on their Slowbro. That's a crazy moveset. Love to see it, though. We're able to barely survive that. Go for a Hydro Pump. We should still be able to get the knockout here, but Licky might come back in, and it could be a little bit difficult depending on what they do. Oh, it's actually going to be a Slowbro that comes in here. We do get a lot of Waterfall damage, which will put them into a range where Brutal Swing will knock them out, but they have so much energy on that Licky. This game could be a little bit dicey depending on what they do. In comes a charge move here. Disarming Voice is going to bait a shield. Our opponent going to try to combo play us, but I'm going to no-shield this confidently, hoping that it's not going to be an Earthquake or a Shadow Ball. Our opponent does bait the Body Slam. Now we can come in with our Bewear and try our best to launch a Superpower. I know I survive an Earthquake or a Body Slam, I can no-shield this attack up. Our opponent lands the Hyper Beam. We get one shot, all of our energy down the drain. That is an instant loss against GG to them. That's a crazy moveset. We actually finally saw the Hyper Beam Licky. Yes, congrats to them. They got me there. Next game going to be another Crocodile in the lead. A very awkward lead as we've seen today, but we have been able to beat one. Let's see if we can maybe overcome this one as well. And comes the first stomp. Our opponent is going to opt to likely shield this. No, they let that go. Interesting. So we're going to try to catch a charge move now with our Alomomola, and we also snuck our Waterfall, which is going to do quite a bit of damage to them here. Brick Break is going to lower our defense stat, but our opponent opts to actually bring in a Pokemon that's by no means an answer to our Alomomola. It is a Medicham. Not only any Medicham, a Psycho Cut Medicham, a Pokemon with very little faster pressure. I don't think even with that debuff, a Dynamic Punch is going to knock us out here. There's a chance we can land this Hydro Pump, maybe knock out the Medicham, and potentially win switch advantage here. Our opponent would have to shield this up if they want to end up surviving. Medicham, oh, I guess they do barely survive that move, but they don't reach another charge attack. They end up going down. What is going to come in here to try to farm us down? It could be the Crocodile, or I guess it could be a Skeleturge. This is such an awkward situation to be in. I end up throwing on Alignment against the Skeleturge. That is not what you want to see. We might draw a shield here, though. Our opponent doesn't know what our third Pokemon is. We do draw a shield, thankfully, with that Stomp, but that was a very dicey situation. If they would have no-shielded that, we probably would have lost the game. But we now have put them into range with those Shadow Claws, where Brutal Swing probably knocks this thing out, and we can likely drain energy with our Alomomola as well. With that said, they do have their Crocodile around. There is a chance that Pokemon can put in some work against us. Crunch is... Oh, Crunch! Okay, that's an interesting moveset, actually. Crunch is a worst-case scenario here as well. well. If it was on Shadow Ball and Disarming Voice, it'd have to land a Shadow Ball, but Crunch is cheaper. It will do super effective damage, and after these fast moves here, we'd be put in an awkward spot where we would get knocked out by a charge move. I know that's only a brick break. That is only 4 mud steps. We can no-shield this attack up and go for a full farm down. Once we get that farm down, we can go for 2 brutal swings and knock out the Skeletor here. We have back-to-back right now. All we need to do is throw the first one, go instantly throw the second one before a Crunch can knock us out, and we should be able to win this game. Our opponent opting to no-shield that, knowing I'm at the back-to-back. GG's to them. Next game, Bewear up against a Licky, a Pokemon, once again, that could, I guess, one-shot into the Hyper Beam. I looked at the matchup after the fact. Hyper Beam does like 94% of a Bewear's HP, which is kind of crazy. It's a neutral charge move, but because Hyper Beam is just so powerful, it's able to basically one-shot you. With that said, in comes a Superpower. Our opponent is going to have to no-shield this if they don't want to go down shields, but they opt to shield it up, and they are overfarming a ton of energy here with their Licky. With that said, in comes either a Solar Beam, Hyper Beam, maybe just a Body Slam or Earthquake. Yeah, luckily not a huge move, just an Earthquake there. We can easily survive that, and in comes a Galarian Slowbro. Once again, this matchup, not the worst case scenario. If they don't have Sludge Bomb, then they're not going to be able to knock us out, and I can reach this Hydro Pump before they can throw a charge move that would knock us out here, likely drawing a shield or potentially getting a KO against this Pokemon. They do properly shield up our big move, but because we are able to draw that second shield, we are up 2 shields to 0, and we should be in a pretty good spot. Our opponent might expect our Bewear to come in once I try to farm them down, so if that is the case, they're going to throw either a Surf or maybe a Sludge Bomb. I'm going to come in with our Slowbro, try to catch a move. If this is a Brutal Swing bait, good plays by them, but if this is a Surf or a Scald, it's going to be very good that it came in here. In comes a Surf, does a lot less damage than they'd like it to do, and now I can swap out combo play with this Superpower, maybe knock them out as well. This is looking very good for us right now. They don't have any shields. This is going to land. It knocks out the Licky. In comes their final Pokemon. It's going to be a Skeletor. This is actually a little bit awkward. They're getting 100 energy coming out of this matchup, and because we don't have payback, we can't do any sort of charging pressure against them. Stomp's going to come through, but it's not going to do anything to this Pokemon. This is going to be able to put them at about half HP. It's going to put them at least into range where I know a Brutal Swing knocks them out, but because they are still so healthy, I'm going to need to go for a charge move, and I'm going to try our best to win this game with our Slowbro in the back. We are almost able to knock them out there, actually, but it's not quite enough. We're able to get another Poison Jab. We're 1 Poison Jab away from a Brutal Swing. We have to watch for a catch, and we have to try our best to knock out the Skeletor. They go for a Shadow Ball. We shield it up, and in comes a Brutal Swing. This should knock out the Skeletor. We still have a shield in the back line, and I think at this point, Slowbro should be able to win this game in the mirror match. In comes their own Slowbro in the second here. Yeah, it comes in, but they're not a back-to-back charge move, so you can reach a Brutal Swing and win this game with Slowbro once again closing out the back line. Bewear putting in a lot of work that game, one-shotting a Licky from about 70% HP. That is exactly what it's here for. One of the best Licky answers in the game, and because there are so many rollout users just in general in this meta, it's a very strong pick and a very big core breaker having access to Shadow Claw as a fast move as well. Alright, well thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this on the channel in the future, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out a ton, and I'd appreciate it very much. Thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.